Gary? Okay.
You had a caller last week. Was it Gary from Citrus Heights?
Glenn.
Glenn.
Glenn from Citrus Heights.
I used to have Joe from Ventura when I lived at KCSP. He loved everything I did.
We have,
So loud.
that's our first time having a caller.
It was very exciting. But now we're big time, so we're breaking through. We're gonna have tons of callers. These headphones, I swear, I need to be better.
Look at that.
There we go. Hopefully my commercial's on
My
today.
new iPad, I just got it.
How do I go? It looks like a
It's
step up
better.
from the old one.
Oh yeah, I was noticing it was
Yeah, it's
different.
a lot bigger. It's nice.
I'm liking the lag
Testing.
Yeah,
Mic
it's
check.
a little bit of a lag.
too. Yeah.
Hump day.
And I got a Apple Pen with it.
Little. I'm eating the
I
mic.
just used that in my
Is that
phone.
better? Good.
Test that.
Test, 1, 2.
Test,
Can't
test.
hear you. Is he talking?
No. One again. Your one?
Turn that
Me?
one down. The knob right there.
Yeah.
Jerry? Jerry, hello.
Katie, are you the board op too?
Good morning.
Test. 1, 2, 3. Sibilance. That's what we should do.
This is about hot.
A little louder, Doug. A little louder. He likes it louder.
Okay, yeah. Okay, how's this now? Is test. Good volume?
All right.
Channel your Dougie in the morning. Would you sing it like that?
With the bells. Ching, ching, ching. Chimes.
You guys,
I know. The Cowboys. You can do all this stuff to do.
They pay me $10 a week to
Is that
do a
right?
radio show. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, that's more than we're making on this show.
97.3 KCSP.
That's right.
The 2,000-watt flamethrower.
So I figure we'll start with introing you. You want to do the little banter a little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
We can just talk about what's going on in the world, I guess.
It's catchy.
It is catchy.
Starbucks has those crazy new frappuccinos.
Yeah, the Ventes are, I guess, equivalent to 3 Snickers bars, my wife said.
Oh, God.
In terms of sugar.
Did you see what Anthony Bourdain wrote about on his social media about that new
The
frappuccino?
unicorn one?
Unbelievable.
Well,
yeah.
now they have the mermaid one too. I saw
Yeah.
yesterday. They all look like.
Yeah, no, and I'm not a huge fan of his, but I mean, he just.
No, what did he say? Did he rip
He
Starbucks?
says
Or?
everything is awful. They put everything you could think of as awful and put it in
Yeah.
a cup and sold it to you. Yeah, so.
I mean, the color is so natural. You see the color? It's like a pink,
It's like
purple.
They said it's
candy.
made out of beets or something. Yeah, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, it's got
Right.
kale in it. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So then we'll go to the first break, and then when we come back, I think we'll talk about
Okay.
your history, how you got into it, where you went to school, what you do,
Yeah.
and
Dougie in the
then
morning.
yeah, maybe you have some examples of some
Sure.
cases you've worked on, things that
Yeah.
businesses can look out for. I was trying to
Absolutely.
think about how to drive engagement so people will be more involved to call or ruffle feathers a little bit, or
Yeah.
I mean, what inspired the guy last week? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Something like that.
It's just, unfortunately, there's no great way to keep your head from being blocked by all the mics.
Hey, no,
So
it's
the way the
it's
camera
fine.
is.
That's
I
have
try
a-
to camera different spots, and that's
I know.
and it seems to be the best one.
I have a face for radio.
Have you've been to Chef's Table, right?
I've been there for lunch a couple times with Mark Barlow. It's pretty good. I like it.
Where's that?
It's in Rockland. It's the
Oh.
place I was telling you we should have to go to dinner out there.
Okay.
It's right by
So-
Lucille's. I got people from corporate coming out tonight. So I'm
Nice.
taking them, I think that's where we're gonna go, there or Source out in Granite Bay, but,
Okay. No,
Chef's Table's closer.
We just did Lucille's last week.
Oh, you did?
Good
I love
place.
their pulled pork.
Oh my god.
I love it.
Their brisket. They just hammered us with brisket. It was like you walk out of
Good.
there. Oh, so darn.
That's where I
good.
took
Yeah.
my parents when they were visiting. Although it's
And
so
their mac
dang
and
loud in
cheese.
there.
It is loud.
It was
yeah.
really hard to talk,
Yeah.
and
No.
there's some good people watching in that place. We went there on Halloween last year. We're like, holy moly.
Halloween.
Yeah.
I thought it was Halloween in there last time we were there. It was March.
Anywhere you go on Halloween, it's good to get people watching, right?
1 minute. All right, guys.
All right. What I wanted.
Hopefully my commercial's on
I
today.
hopefully. I never did commercials yet.
Yeah, I've got nothing in mine.
We can turn it up.
Yeah, volume. I got. Where you at?
I thought it would be
volume right here.
Okay. There we go.
There's two knobs, inner and outer, so that's the one you like. This is horrible. I have bad feedback in this thing.
Really? What is going on today?
Right? I don't know.
It must be the weather. There's like a weird energy because of the rain. I thought it was supposed to be 80 degrees the second half of this week too. What the heck? No, I'm hearing talking.
See, I don't hear. All I hear is music.
I've got talking too. There's somebody talking over a commercial in my ears.
Mendedlife.com.
BlendedLife.com.
Blended Life?
Yeah.
Okay. Blended Life, Mended Life.
I'm hearing that. Plus music. Oops.
Now we're rocking. No?
Try this one. Oh, this one has the wrong plug. Oh well.
Good morning. Welcome to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5. Katie McConnell here with my co-host.
Mark Bellows, good morning everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Numbers, like Katie just said. We take turns co-hosting, so we...
I'm in the driver's seat today.
Yes, she's driving today and I'm
Which is
passenger
scary.
in it. So I'm a tax partner or principal with Clifton Larson Allen. I work with contractors, real estate developers, investors, and manufacturers and their businesses and their owners. And in fact, I was at a manufacturing seminar last week in Fresno called Thriving in the Valley Manufacturing Summit. Very exciting times.
It has all kinds of exciting
Oh, all
events.
kinds of exciting.
Fresno,
a day in Fresno.
Van
I mean,
manufacturing
how can
seminar.
they beat that? But
They do have a banging Olive Garden down there.
they do, well, yeah. In fact, we were looking for, I wanted some French onion soup, so we were looking for good French onion soup in Fresno, and everything was chain.
Oh yeah.
There's Fleming Steakhouse, which I think might be a chain.
When
Everything
you
else
do
is
it big in Fresno, you go to the Olive Garden.
Yeah, right.
And you get extra Parmesan.
But the good news is that manufacturing's alive and well. It's doing good in California. It's picking up. You know, there are lots of people looking for jobs. You may hear about that periodically.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, lots of people looking for employees in manufacturing facilities, especially if you have CNC machines and that type of stuff. And so,
CNC.
computer control type stuff.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
That's a new one.
CNC. Yeah. So anyway, there's manufacturing's going well. So it's good. People talk a lot about manufacturing leaving California, California economy's hurting and all that kind of stuff. But what I've seen out there with a lot of manufacturers is that they're growing and doing well.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's not what the news is telling us.
Well, no, of course not. But
Well, speaking of hiring,
Yes.
it is hiring and recruitment month.
we're finishing
still.
up. This is our
So,
fifth week. We've had 5 weeks of this because it's such an important topic.
I have every week of my life is hiring and
Yeah,
recruiting.
you do.
So we have Douglas Watts of Watts Law Offices here with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you guys.
Good morning, Doug. Liz, do you go by Douglas or Doug?
Doug. To
Good
my
morning,
friends,
Doug.
yeah. Only
Or
Doug
Dougie
support.
in the morning. We'll get into that in this past life. But good morning, Doug. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So employment attorney
Yes.
here representing the horror stories of negligent hiring and what can go wrong, right? Just to scare all you listeners into being compliant.
Yeah, and well, we've kind of run the full gamut in our month, right? From recruiting and then hiring and then keeping people engaged, and now what happens if things go south with the employee or the employer?
Right.
So, and that's what we'll talk about today with Douglas.
Yeah.
Speaking of things going south, we were talking about the Starbucks unicorn frappuccino business.
Yeah, it's a little sugary.
Yeah.
And Douglas, you were saying that there are certain pundits who were, I guess, or food type people who were not impressed with.
Yes, I read a scathing review of the unicorn frappuccino that was described by Anthony Bourdain, who's known to have an opinion or two about things. that-
And be a foodie.
And be a foodie.
Right.
It was all things awful combined into one cup for your consumption.
Well, the color is just so natural.
I want to see if anyone's done a study where they've pumped that frappuccino into a lab rat and seen how long it will sustain itself. Yeah, or if it just crashes and burns.
Sure.
I think I had read a study a long time ago. If you feed a rat enough maraschino cherry juice, because of the dye, it'll croak out. So
Is that right?
I wonder if these unicorn, mermaid, other mythical dragon frappuccino. I read a meme this morning that said, I wonder if some more unicorns are drinking human frappuccinos. What color that is.
Yeah, right. What color? Various colors, I guess.
I don't want to choke on a piece of glitter when I'm trying to eat.
And they put glitter in those things, right? Of
I
some
don't-
sort.
I don't
It's
know.
colored sprinkles or something.
Fairy dust.
Yeah, very
I,
dusty.
I love me some Starbucks, but I will not be ordering a unicorn frappuccino.
No, and I think
no interest in
the
that.
people that make them complain. In fact, there was someone who complained in social media, right? Because at the end of the day, they were covered in fairy dust or whatever it is. It's just had to go wash off because they made so many of these things.
I'm exhausted. My feet hurt. I reek of cotton candy. I have glitter in my eye.
Well, if you're an employee at Starbucks and you signed up to pull shots and now you're doing fairy dust, I mean, do you have an issue? Can you?
Well, there's
You'd be surprised.
all kinds of things that employers can ask of their employees, right?
Of
We'll get
course,
into
yeah.
that a little bit later with Doug here.
Yeah, yeah. So you had a retreat this weekend
I did. I went
How'd
on a
it
yoga
go?
retreat. It was lovely.
with your mom.
With my mom, out in the mountains in Nevada City.
Nice.
So very limited cell service, beautiful clean food, very nice.
And you presumably didn't do yoga the whole weekend. Were there other things that were part
We
of it?
did,
or-
but we did group meditations,
Oh, nice, nice.
group discussion, all women. So that was a really beautiful experience. Just women of all ages from 1920 all the way through 75.
And was it specifically women's only one?
Women's only.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. Actually through Yogashala, and the owner of Yogashala, Tyler Langdale, will be coming on the show, I think, in
Okay.
August to talk more about the business of yoga and alternative healthcare.
Yeah, yeah. Are you a yogi?
I am not a
That was-
yogi. I'm a sometime practitioner, and I have to say, I enjoy it, but boy, it just, my 49-year-old body,
You feel it, right?
I am laid up for days after that. Yeah,
Just need to do more of it, that's all.
Yeah, that's what I'm told. I'm as limber as a steel girder. So
When we had a while ago on the show before Katie's time, I posted with another guy, and we had people from Spotted Dog Yoga on.
Hmm.
They're in El Dorado Hills, I believe.
Okay.
So the owners, Nick and Katie, and they were it was interesting talking. So we'll more about what is it, Shala?
Shala, Yoga Shala.
We'll learn more about that later this year. But interesting talking to the yoga owners, and actually Rick, the old co-host, went into training to become a yoga instructor.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, they keep pestering me to do it, but it's not the
Because
right
you go
time
so
yet.
much.
Not the right time yet. Well, I think I'm afraid I'm going to want to open up a studio as soon as I get certified. And I have an idea for a business venture, and we'll make mythical creature. We'll make Teletubby smoothies and juices, and yeah. It's just, are Teletubbies not a thing anymore?
No.
They're not a thing. Okay.
Power Ranger.
Power Rangers are
Power
back.
Rangers are back.
They're back.
Yeah.
No, Teletubbies are gone. Sorry. Wiggles, which is young. When my kids were young,
I don't know
Wiggles
what
were
that
big.
means.
Yeah, well, that's just as well.
Yeah, okay.
We actually saw the Wiggles in concert.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
They played instruments and each wore a separate color. So very exciting.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So you had your yoga retreat. I had an unfortunately much different experience in Fresno at the manufacturing summit. So.
Have you ever heard Fresno referred to as F-No?
No, I like
Can we say that on the radio?
Fresno, of course.
This was told by
Fresno.
a former girlfriend who grew up in Fresno and said, "Yeah, I'm from F-No."
Well, we have old Sac here. I mean,
Right?
have some civic pride. Come on. That's terrible.
That is terrible.
Well, you are listening to Beyond the Numbers, Money 105.5. We would love to have some callers this morning ask Doug some questions as we get into the meat of things. If you are interested in calling the show, the number is 866-576-1055. Again, that's 866-576-1055. Here with Mark and Katie in the morning with our host, Doug Watts of the Watts Law Offices.
And we had a caller last week.
We
So
did.
We're hoping he's probably listening again.
Yes.
Well, if you are, feel free to give us a little jingle. We'd love to hear from you this morning.
Absolutely.
So we'll be right back on Beyond the Numbers 105.5. I love it when we get the transitions just perfectly right.
That was pretty smooth.
It was, right? It was pretty choppy when I first started doing this.
Went back in the late 80s. I have no idea what the big quote-unquote terrestrial stations do now, but there'd be a board op guy on the other side of the glass, and when it was time for me to break, bam, bam, you could hear it on the air.
Well, he gives us fingers. and
Yeah.
that's
But
how much
when
time
he
left.
does 3, he does it
Like this.
this.
Oh yeah, that's what it's, yeah.
And I thought it was 2 and took us to commercial early the first time I did this. And then he was like looking at me like, what are you doing?
It's too early.
And then I was like,
This is
never
cool.
mind.
It's cool. Things have changed so much, though. Just in terms of how you do this, the technology. That board, what you have in front of you, looks very similar to what was around back in those days. But just computer screens and all
Yeah.
that. The content is so. We would have live commercials back anyway. Yeah.
Well, you said
Ooh.
Gunyan Records. Is it commercial?
Nope, this is yours.
Not yet. It should be on this week. If it's not, then we need to follow up with whoever you're working with to make
That
sure.
says Galena LLP. You need to get that fixed.
Yeah, I just did a trial here in federal court last week, and one of my witnesses used to work at Galena LLP, Janet Dutcher. Do you know her?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know Janet?
Mhm. Yeah, I remember working at there for a while.
Yeah, she's now the assistant CAO in Alpine County, which Martinville.
Okay.
And
That's what
she
said.
she had some dirt on the people that had screwed over my client. I lost that case. I don't want to talk about it, but it was brutal. I mean, we lost on a technicality, and I'm going to take it up on appeal, and we'll get it reversed. But it was a tough week. But this is what I do. You know, when you represent the employee and they don't want to resolve the claim without trial, then you got to take it all the way. So
Yeah.
it was rough.
Imagine you sometimes counsel people, say, you're not going to do well.
Are you in for this? Yeah.
And we're back on Beyond the Numbers 105.5. Mark and Katie. One more time if you want to call in, 866-576-1055.
All right, my mic is not working well today, or my headphones, sorry, but I did get in just positioned just right where I can hear. So now I can hear. We're back, yeah. So Douglas,
Yes.
you were telling us that you were way back when you were on the radio.
Yes.
This is not unfamiliar to you.
No. The times have changed, but the radio experience, once you have it, it stays with you. It's KCSB, UC Santa Barbara student radio station in 1987, 88, many years back.
And it was Dougie in the morning?
I tried 3-4 different handles.
So if any of our listeners or anybody can remember Dougie in the morning, here he is in the flesh.
Just remember the guy who played The Cure and would mix it with Led Zeppelin and Muddy Waters.
Perfect, that sounds like the 80s. And there was some Cheech and Chong bits.
And Flip Wilson.
Flip Wilson, oh, good times.
I was on my way.
Yet somehow you took a detour and became an attorney.
I panicked. Yeah, I didn't want to stay with this radio gig. I panicked and went to law school.
Or were you going to UCSB at the time?
I was.
And then what made you decide to go to law school?
Well, I transferred to Davis after 2 years at Santa Barbara, and I just felt like I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly for a career, but I knew I needed more education than what you get at just a standard 4-year liberal arts education. I wasn't ready for any particular career, so that was pretty much it. And I'm a talker, and I'm a persuader and an arguer, just in who I am as a person.
So you're a perfect attorney.
You never really hear people say, I wanted to stay in school longer and spend more money to go to a very expensive program because I just didn't know what I wanted to do with myself.
I just figured it was a 3-year hit on my life and my finances to go to law school, but I figured I'd be 26, 27 when I was done, and I'd have a career when I was done.
It's all right.
That would hopefully sustain me for the rest of my life, whether or not I ended up practicing law or doing something else.
No, was it University of Idaho?
I did. I went to University of Idaho.
How did you end up in University of Idaho from Davis?
Yeah, it was kind of an odd route, but at the end of my time at Davis, I was a reporter for the school newspaper, and the school paper bought a fax machine, which I had never seen before. In 1991, there was a fax machine, and I sent a fax resume to a number which I didn't even know where it was an area code 208, and it said, here, apply to be a newspaper reporter. So I did, and I got a call from some guy in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, who said, where the hell is Davis? Is that near LA?
Yeah, kinda.
It's not.
It's a job, sure.
I drove my Datsun B210
nice,
900 miles up to Coeur d'Alene in one day. I did it in one day, and I covered a youth softball game, and he hired me on the spot, and I moved to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Wow.
Yeah, and then once I had in-state residency in Idaho, all this time I was applying to law schools, but the cost was prohibitive if you were out of state for most places, so I applied to the University of Idaho, and I got in.
So now, after law school, did you work for a large firm, or did you go right into private?
I worked at a property management company. I was the Grim Reaper of delinquent tenants in the Bay Area. I evicted more tenants than a person should be allowed to evict.
I feel like it probably is easier to evict a tenant if you're dressed as the Grim Reaper when you come knocking.
I would think so.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
If you guys see the Saturday Night Live skits, do you watch Saturday Night Live?
Oh, of course.
They have the Grim Reaper show on there periodically.
Yes, or if anyone watches Family Guy, I'm Death.
Okay.
I'm the guy that plays Death. So I did that for a few years, and that got me a lot of trial experience, even though these cases were very easy and not complicated in terms of how you lawyer them. And then I went to work for a mid-sized firm in Oakland for a few years, and I got ground into a fine paste by that machine where you have to bill hours, and it's not so much about serving your clients, it's about billing hours. And then I left that world and started working in smaller firms, and then I moved to Sacramento in 2006. And by 2009, I was done working for other people. I had to be my own boss, or else I was going to have to do something else for a career.
And we like having entrepreneurs on the show. We've had plenty of entrepreneurs. I think we have an Entrepreneurs Month coming up.
Yep, next month.
Yeah.
May.
Yeah.
It's always good hearing about people like yourself that just get kind of tired of what they've been doing and wanting something different. And so, so if you don't mind, let's spend a couple minutes maybe kind of walk us through the process where you went from being in the firm you're in to starting Douglas Watts.
I was the typical worker bee for a small law firm in Folsom, and we had a good clientele and good cases and good loyal people. But I was the litigator. Litigators are people that do trial cases, court cases, where somebody is usually saying that they were wronged or that somebody owes them money and they won't pay. Or somebody has wronged them and they want to be paid. And so those are the guys like me who say, well, you have a dispute. The other side isn't going to do what you want voluntarily, so you have to compel them. So I was the person that would do the court cases. And the other guys in the firm were kind of more transactional people, very similar backgrounds to you and Katie in terms of they were money people, they were business people, and that's not my area of expertise. They would send them my way when they'd say, okay, now business A has a beef with business B, and what are his or her options if they go to court? And so, by the time the first part of 2009 rolled around, I had this, I would call it an existential yearning to do things my own way and not have to be on a set schedule and not have to be answerable for quote billable hours, and just I wanted to serve people and solve problems and get good results, and I knew I could do that in my own way, and that's kind of been what's carried me the last, because a lot of people start their own practices and they flame out. I follow friends and I just couldn't do it, I couldn't get clients, and that's where the entrepreneurial part of that comes in, because I'm a business person, I'm not just a lawyer, I sell a business and I sell product that people hopefully would see, hey, that brings me value. So. And
a lot of times it's not easier because you're doing your own billing, you're doing your selling, you're doing your closing.
I'm at Office Depot buying paper clips. Those are it's everything from.
You can order them online, by the way. You don't have to go to Office Depot.
So that's it. It's really been. I knew those things were out there. I was so accustomed to having my secretary handle my travel, or I need more pens. I need a printer cartridge and things like that, all the way up to I need to schedule a deposition, or I need to, set a case for trial. But once boy, talk about a baptism by fire. All of a sudden you realize, okay, there's nobody on the other end of the intercom. Yeah, it's
me.
The guy in the mirror.
This isn't even an intercom, it's a cup with a string on the bottom of it.
There's definitely been those moments.
But your firm now is bigger than just you, right? In terms of you have more than one person there?
No, I have one part-time employee, but I have remained, I've had offers over the years to join with other firms and be their employment guy or be their personal injury guy. And no, I've kept it small. I keep it very, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I'm sort of at that crossroads again where I have to figure out what I want to do. But there's I'm kind of the goldfish in the little bowl now, and I maybe want a little bigger tank now. But there's challenges and problems with that.
Absolutely.
And would be other hands in the pie, and would a new person be a drain on my finances or a benefit to it? And would they eat what they kill, or would they eat what I kill? And so there's things that come into play there that I'm trying to work out.
Yeah, we were just talking about internal leverage last night, and how I think for me the tendency is to focus on external leverage. How am I going to leverage my hours? How am I going to leverage clients, my time? But that internal leverage is so important as well, that you have the resources if something happens, or that you can leverage people so that you can work on the business rather than in the business all the time. And being able to balance both of those things running a small shop is extremely challenging.
It is, and oftentimes I think as the size that I am, what I've started doing to really great success, I have to pat myself on the back, is I'll partner with firms. A good case can be just like a little business in itself. So-and-so versus so-and-so, that's a case and that's a business. I'll go into business with somebody for the express purpose of doing that case and getting a good result. And then at the end, we count up the shekels, you get yours, you get mine, the client gets theirs, and we're done. And that part is good, but it also makes you see that there are possible, we want to say synergies that are possible with it if you brought somebody on and you were with them full time, or they brought you on. So I hadn't thought about it quite like leveraging, but it is, you start to, as an entrepreneur, regardless of your business, you realize any hour that you have during a day has some kind of value. You have to figure out what it is, and if you want to maximize it, what do you do?
Yep.
So,
and what's your highest and best use of your time?
Yeah.
And yet you still have to take care of the buying paper clips at Office Depot, right? I mean, you have to have paper clips.
You think they'd have some kind of program, like they have the razors and socks and undershirts you think that you could get on some kind of auto subscription to be sent paper and paper. Maybe they have this. If they don't, we're gonna need every listener to sign an NDA, because this is a brilliant idea.
What's the caller number, by the way? There's people
you call in and I'll send you over an NDA. We can talk here. 866-576-1055. And Doug could probably draft it up for us.
I would do that.
I like it. Katie, you got a great idea. That's good. Let's go somewhere with this.
That's synergy, kid.
That's
synergy,
right.
Yes.
Well, when we get back from the break, I do want to talk some more about some of the kind of war stories that you've seen, and what companies can look out for, as far as, part of my job is to help mitigate on the front end negligent hiring. So I'm telling them background check, credit check, and suggesting these certain processes. A lot of my middle market, $5 to $100 million clients have never done that before.
Sure.
Their offer letter is an email. And they don't have the California at-will employment law, paragraphs, and they're just not educated. And that can end up really biting you in the behind on the back end if something goes haywire.
Right. Hire slow, fire fast.
Right.
That's the trend in business that I see.
And I see that a lot of companies are afraid to fire because they're afraid of some kind of ramification. So I'd like to talk a little more about...
This is an at-will state.
Oh, yes.
But California
that's such a huge
is so employee.
It is. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's huge. But people think, it's an at-will state. I can kind of do what I want. But the
everybody's in a protected class, right? Unless you're a Caucasian male under 40, pretty much everybody, unless you,
you forgot heterosexual.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'm not disabled, heterosexual, Caucasian male.
You are the least protected species on the planet. Yeah, you are.
Right, not an endangered bunch. But everybody else is a protected class. And that's, with so much diversity, I'm finding clients a lot say, well, we know that this person is prohibiting our production. We know that we could be doing more if we didn't have this anchor. But we're afraid because we don't want a backlash, or it's a walk-in lawsuit.
Right.
So what do we do to mitigate that? And what are some of the things you've seen? And
sure. I can give you both sides for sure.
Yeah, that'll be good to hear.
Yeah.
How much time we got, Katie? How we doing?
We got a little bit more time.
Okay,
I'll give out the number one more time in case any listeners have a question related to employment law.
May I plug my website when you're done?
Absolutely. The number is 866-576-1055.
And anybody out there curious with a legal question about their employment or a loved one, I often get calls from concerned loved ones. It's Watts Law offices. It's www.wattslaw- not underscore hyphen, NorCal, as in Northern California.com, 916-673-9008.
And they do not have to be a loved one. If you have a question about a non-loved one,
they can be
an unloved
one that needs to be...
They can be a liked one.
You have a fax number as well.
Yes, fax numbers.
No, you don't have to give it. Talking about fax earlier, your first fax you did to Idaho. How crazy was that?
We'll be right back on Beyond the Numbers, Money 105.5.
Well, we never get faxes. Do you still do stuff with faxes?
I don't even know if someone asked to fax something, I'd be like, I don't know where does it go?
We don't even have a fax machine.
We
have
don't.
To do it all electronic.
Yeah, I have efax.com, and people think, tell me, go stand by your fax machine.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, here's my fax machine right here. So
we got the same thing. It's all virtual.
Yeah.
Who faxes when you can scan? Or I'll tell candidates, take a picture of it with your phone and just on an offer letter or something like that. Just take a picture of it and email.
Peter's still doing email offer letters? Like, I mean, I don't see those a lot. You know.
Oh, you mean just writing it in an
Yeah,
email?
just like we want to hire you on, and here's your salary, and here's the benefits, and.
I mean, not my clients, because I'm making sure that we're
Yeah.
putting it on letterhead and putting the clauses in there and,
Yeah.
you know, covering, and I recommend a background check. And
Yeah.
I have some clients that have said, oh, we've never done background checks before.
Yeah.
Well,
Can you
what?
recommend across the board, every single
Yeah.
case?
Well, I mean, if for nothing else, then that if something goes awry, the company can say, well, we did our due diligence by going through these
Yeah.
motions and checking them out. Because if you didn't, right, they can come back to you and say, well, you should have known better.
Yeah, well, I can tell your listeners, anybody that is interested about negligent hiring, those issues don't find their way to the courts very often. You get what you see, that the species of wrong that develops between employer and employee is discrimination, harassment, retaliation, a big one. I complain about something that I see you doing as my boss, and you discipline me for it, or you fire me for it, and that immediately, poof, you're out of the non-protected. Even though you might be a heterosexual white male under 40, you still have protection as somebody who complains about something that's unlawful. So, but the negligent hiring is usually a throw-in claim to the court. So, but it is how it plays out is who was hiring this person who's a troublemaker and causing us problems. You know, that's more. It's not so much like the employee sues for negligent hiring. So, I don't know if that makes
Right,
sense.
but I think more in like class action opportunities, or an employee does something bad or steals information or leaves a file
Oh,
somewhere.
sure.
Well, didn't you check this person out?
We can
Didn't
talk
you?
about non-competes too,
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's a huge issue, and they're largely unenforceable, but employers still try to make people sign non-compete agreements, so I bet that happens in your.
Well, and it does, and in fact,
Yeah.
we've hired people who are not, income partner,
Right.
not equity partners.
Sure.
We've hired people, and they come across and they say, "Oh, I signed a non-compete," and I say, "Well,
Let's
you don't-
see it, yeah.
And it's not enforceable.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know, but I signed it, so I feel like I have to honor
Yeah.
integrity. So okay, well, I understand that.
Right,
Just
yeah.
so you know, they're not gonna have the same integrity with you.
Yeah.
If
They
something
can
comes
still
up.
take you to court and run you through the ringer,
They
and it's
can.
expensive, and
It is.
you
It
don't
can
want to
be
deal with it, so it's a scare tactic.
It
Yeah.
creates a permanent record too. In anymore, anybody who sues anybody can be Googled and found in a public record search in 5 minutes. So, do you want to be that guy?
Yeah.
So,
Even though you were
you feel like you were.
innocent, or you didn't have, there wasn't enough cause, or whatever. I know this is not the right word for you. But
Well, that's one of the
That's
first
what it
things
is.
that I look at when I run a background check. I'm not super worried about criminal background. I
Right.
mean, I am if you have a big old record, but it's civil. Have you ever
Yeah.
sued a prior employer? Are you a
Bankruptcies.
walking
Yeah.
lawsuit waiting to happen?
Right.
That's where my red flags are.
Bankruptcies, repos, I see all that stuff. Like, there's a whole species of employment law that is developed around defamation, libel, slander. Well, is it libel or slander if these things that they say about you are true? Yeah, I do have a bankruptcy in my past or whatever, and the employer talks about it. Well, no, technically not, but if they use it as a shield or a sword to take you down, to slander you, you don't want to hire this guy, he's got a bankruptcy, that can be something different.
Still not a commercial.
No.
And mine's the old one. Show.
I'm squeaking like I gotta stop speaking.
Good morning, and we're back on
Big
Beyond the
bucks.
Numbers, 105.5. Big bucks. That's what a lawsuit costs, right?
Yeah.
Big bucks.
Big bucks.
For everybody, yes, they do.
So, Doug
Where we at?
Watts,
Yep.
Watts Law Office. Before the break, we left talking about a little teaser on what employees and employers can look out for avoiding negligent hiring, and you shared during the break that negligent hiring is actually not a big portion of your practice.
It isn't, yeah. What I, as a litigator, I am the person at the sort of the end of the drama that an employee might have with their current or former employer. They have a dispute. Employer says, "Okay, we're done with you," or "You can stay here, but we're going to demote you," or something else. And those are the things that end up in litigation, which is that's a term of art, and litigation simply means somebody is suing somebody else and claiming that they want money damages. So, so that in those negligent hiring often does not come up from the employee's perspective, because they're saying, no, you weren't negligent in hiring me. I'm good. You should
Right.
keep me. You shouldn't have disciplined me. That species of complaint or litigation matter is typically only litigated between other businesses, business to business. And so if employee used to work for somebody and they go to work for somebody else, and then the new employer finds out they had all these issues and they were bad employees or something, and then there could be a claim as between those two, but it really wouldn't
Right.
fall to the employee to assert that somebody was negligent in hiring them.
Well, unfortunately, you can't really find out any information as a hiring manager anyways. I mean, our hands are tied to be
Yeah.
able to share the reasons why somebody left. So if you're going for a gamble and they end up being a bad apple, you're just sort of stuck with it.
Right, yeah.
Which is where the interview process and the due diligence comes into play.
The background check. Well,
Yep.
although like you said, sometimes that stuff doesn't come up in background checks.
Right, I mean, those kinds of things. They were a bad apple, they didn't get along with the team, that's not gonna come up in a
Yeah,
back
right.
check. It's not gonna come up in reference checks.
Right.
It's a, matter of
Yeah.
performing the correct interview and then having a good hiring team and some good intuition.
Yeah.
And then it's a gamble.
Well, and you said too earlier, slow to hire, quick to fire.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be that can bite employers too. The lesson to be learned by talking to somebody like me who has, I've been on the defense side where my firm has been when I was working for others, defending people who get sued by employees, and now I've been strictly the other side now representing the employee. The lesson to be learned is there's really no way to say, if we do this, we will never have a problem from the employer side, and there's no way to say to an employee, yeah, but you did everything and the employer still disciplined you, they shouldn't have done that. The facts are never that clear, and especially not when you get to litigation, because once you get to that point where somebody has filed suit in court, it's now a competition.
Right.
And in every competition, there's a winner and a loser, and you don't want to be the loser, especially not the employer, because they're typically the quote-unquote deep pocket.
Do you ever do anything with pre-hiring?
I have done. I've reviewed. I find it's very. People have told me they benefited from having a litigator look at language of, say, an offer letter, or a very, very few people in the world, period, that we live in get an employment contract per se.
Yeah.
Here are your terms. Here's the length. Here's your salary. It's not like if you were an NBA player or the NFL, you get 5 years, $25 million. What the average person gets is an offer of employment, and the employer says, here's the salary, here's the benefits, and that's it. And you might get something in a letter, but it's not a contract, and there's not consideration that you as the employee are giving to the employer other than your time. So the employer,
Your future time.
and your efforts, and your whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, but in terms of the contractual right, you don't really have a contractual right to a job unless you have an NBA contract.
But and there are people who don't understand that though, right? And they think, well, they offered me a job, they owed to me.
I quit my job in Portland and I moved to Sacramento, and now they're saying, well, no, we're not going to make you a manager. You're going to be something. You're a field tech or something. I get things like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'll often tell people is that could be a sort of subspecies of litigation matter where, in reliance on somebody telling you they had a job for you, you quit your job, or you sold your car or sold your house. That's different than saying, I have a right as an employee to the job that you promised me out into the future, such that you owe me $80,000 a year for the next 5 years or something. That's the unicorn. That does not. It's not a unicorn frappuccino.
No.
That is a unicorn. Those things don't happen, and they have no legs if you try to pursue something like that in court.
One of the things that I come up against a lot, because I do the pre-screen for my clients, is I didn't get the job, and now there's some retaliation from the potential candidate about why they didn't get the job.
Yeah.
And I had one who, we had interviewed her for a position, didn't feel like she was the right fit, ended up having another position with the same company and invited her back. She was still interested in the company, so we interviewed her for a different role. At the end of the day, the client found somebody else, didn't hire her again. She came back to me and asserted discrimination, that we were not moving forward with the process because of her ethnicity, not because of her qualifications.
Right.
And it was a bit of a kind of a preposterous situation, and I said, feel free to file a claim. She didn't.
Okay.
But how do you navigate, those kinds of situations where a candidate is saying, well, this is why you're not considering me, when the truth
Right.
of the matter is that's not true. Or
Yeah.
you may have the qualifications, but at the end of the day, you just weren't a fit for our environment, which is
Yeah.
a very important part of a hire.
Yeah.
And we're allowed to pass on you just because you don't fit our
Right.
culture.
And you can't avoid all of that stuff altogether.
But
So
we don't
what's
have
the
to
best?
hire
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
just
well,
because you have the quals on paper. Because if you
Yeah.
don't fit with our team, then you're not the right person.
So what can the employer do to make sure
Excellent
they're
question.
not discriminating?
Right.
Yeah, so
what do we say?
the short answer is nothing.
Yeah.
Right, because
Unfortunately, yeah.
nothing. I wish I could say I'm the only practitioner of employee side litigation out there, and everything has to run through me, but it doesn't. And I'm a reasonable person, and I don't just take any case that someone says, well, this lady Katie at this place said, boy, she said something that made me think she doesn't like black people or something. I'm sorry, that's not good enough for me. Maybe there's somebody else out there who would say, you have a case and you should sue the employer. What I would say for the employer side is have, to the best you can, you may be a 5-person outfit, or like me, I've got 2 people in my shop full time. Have policies and protocols that you use. Have something that looks like a manual that says this is what we do when somebody applies for a job, and here's what they get. They get an interview, they get something in writing from us, and if we determine that they weren't a good fit, we will notify them in writing, and to the extent we can, that our hands aren't tied by law, we will tell them the reason why they didn't get the position. And typically what I've told employers in the past that have consulted with me is leave it, be vague. Say, we
Right.
found somebody else that's better for the position. No offense. We wish you luck in your future endeavors.
Well, in this case, she was of Latin American descent. It was a construction company in the Bay Area.
Okay.
And it was the second time she had come back. And so, I was able to quell it by saying, well, there's a lot of diversity in this company already.
Sure.
So, we can prove that
Right.
there's no discrimination.
Right.
Further, we knew what your origin was when we met you the first time. So
Right.
we wouldn't have invited you back again
If
if
that were an
we
issue, yeah.
were
Sure.
intending to discriminate.
Yeah.
However, I had one the other day where the candidate had just started a new job. He was in his first week with a new employer. I said, I'm not plucking you out of a brand new job that you just started a week ago to move you over again. So I'm not doing that as a professional. So we're gonna pass. And there was some retaliation. I get a lot of angry retaliation when they don't get the role.
Sure.
Beyond just saying it's not a good culture fit, I'm afraid to put anything else in writing because I don't want any retaliation coming back to us or a sort of discrimination.
Yeah. The way you're using retaliation is different than the way it gets litigated. Typically, it's the retaliation takes the form of this person said to you as a person who's in charge of helping them find employment, I asserted that there was a problem with my ethnicity or my sexual orientation or something, and therefore, thereafter, I didn't get placed or I was told I'm not the right person. That can be.
Do those cases hold water? I mean, do the candidates win?
Well.
What do I need to do to protect my
Yeah, I was going to say maybe we can talk a little bit
companies?
about what
Sure.
what does employer need to do to
Right.
what has been litigated in your example as to what retaliation is. And
Right.
so what do we know? That's a minute. So what do we know? What does an employer know not to do?
I mean, I would love to have that education so that I can.
Yeah,
I'm fearful that we're migrating to a world where if you have all of the qualifications that we said that you want and you're in a protected class, we have to give you the job even though
Right.
you're not the right personality fit, because
Right.
if you don't, you're going to sue the pants off of us and we're going to lose a bunch of money. And
What you're
what do we do?
And what you're talking about there, and I think we're up against a break, but what you're talking about there happens 365 days a year.
Mhm.
I see it, that is the problem I face more than anything, is the candidate that goes bazonkers when they don't get the opportunity, and then the next thing you know, we have a threatened claim.
Yeah, and it's the easiest thing in the world to claim discrimination or retaliation because nobody ever has any written evidence that says in an email, guess what, you black person, we didn't hire you because you're black. Boy, if I see that, that would be the first
Oh yeah,
time.
that'd be
Yeah.
an easy
When we
case.
It
get back
doesn't
from the
exist.
break, we'll
Yeah.
talk more about from an employer perspective, what we can do to protect that.
Yeah, and avoid retaliation.
We'll be back.
This is so much more fun than what I'm normally doing at 8 o'clock.
Right.
Really, I'm
Yeah.
answering emails and I have to do a big budget for this case that I lost at trial. I didn't lose it. I was brilliant, Mark.
That's what Marsha Clark said
I
too.
talked to
Okay.
in federal court you get an 8-person jury, in state court you get 12. So I got to talk to all 8 jurors, and they said if it was a boxing match, I was ahead of them on points, like, on 10-9 card, it was like 10-4. What happened was at the end of the trial, the judge said, I don't think that this person was in charge, had the authority to make the decision to discipline my client. When every bit of evidence we had gotten in front of the jury was that, yes, she did. She absolutely did. The judge didn't want it to be in the trial anymore, and he's a federal judge, and he's not answerable to anybody. He bailed. He bailed on my client, and so we have to take an appeal, and we're going to win the appeal. So, but I have to do a budget because the client's paying me. I don't do those for free.
No.
So I would not be in business very long. So anyway, I love how people don't. I bet you guys get this all the time. Your time has no value. You just work on something for me. You're a CPA. Tell me how to do this, and
Can
this.
you review my resume? Can you help me get a job? Can you
and we get it, all the time, and then you want to bill them, you're like,
You go, dude, my time and my advice is my stock and trade. I don't, no. Yeah. I'm CPA, do that for me, So,
I try to be better upfront about letting them know. Or a little bit of free advice, and then I'm going to charge you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't
I
want
might
you to
cut you a
charge me.
deal, but yeah.
That's us on 105.5 Beyond the Numbers.
we
Mark
need to get
Katie.
our commercials updated. Katie made a new commercial. We haven't done that yet, and then
What
mine
the
still
heck?
says Galena, which is out of business.
You
It was
must,
not out of business.
I must
Still
say,
going strong. Just
Well, the
under
name
new
is
name.
very strong, yes,
Yes.
of course. but-
Captain of Her Heart, though, which is the music.
Oh,
Hang,
gosh.
great song.
We got
Did you play that one,
we
Doug, in
got
the morning?
jams on
I
105.5.
spun that in with Just Like Heaven by The Cure, yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
Maybe Jerry will take some callers. We can get some
Nice.
requests going
Yeah,
on the
some
show next
music,
week.
musical lead in. What do you call those? Lead in, lead out? No, okay.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you've seen that are retaliation that employers should be avoiding doing in the future?
I caution and have cautioned people that I know that are fellow business owners to avoid acting or reacting in haste and emotion. In this day and age, social media, texting, emailing, you have a dust up with an employee, you're the boss, and somebody comes to you and they're mad at you and they say that you're a jerk or you did something to them. What is a not normal human reaction? I punch you on the
Defensiveness.
playground.
No,
Sure.
I'm not. This is why I did what I did.
Or I strike back. I punch you back. You punch me on the playground. I punch you back. Those things never end well from the employer's
No.
side, because as the employee, if you can show, ultimately, I look at everything as how it's going to look in front of a jury. I show the jury the employer punched my guy right back and he hit him twice as hard because he was the boss and he could do that. Let it simmer. Let it die down. Don't text the guy, you SOB, you such a, because text can be saved and showed to
Exactly.
somebody. Here's what my
Yeah.
boss said to me.
Yeah.
He called me an N-word or something.
You've seen texts like
Oh,
that?
for sure,
Oh my
for
gosh.
sure. Those are the cases that settle. That
Yeah.
don't go to trial. You show those to the employer, they're like, okay, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Let it simmer, let it settle down, have a conversation, bring a witness in from the
A
employer's
witness, yeah.
perspective. If the company knows that person A has had a problem with employee or supervisor B, bring C and D in there, have a meeting. The employee might claim I'm being ganged up on, but it can also be that these people were there to just witness and make sure everything went smoothly. That's a really good tactic that I don't see a lot of employers use.
We have a caller,
Excellent.
so we will go ahead.
Good morning.
Glenn!
Glenn's back. Hi, Glenn. Welcome
Your
back.
reputation precedes you.
There you go.
There
See?
you go. Olive Garden. That's good.
Mm.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Sure.
yes. So Glenn calling in. Thank you, Glenn, for calling in. The question really is, reference checking. I check references, but quite often they're so full of love and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Fluff. Yeah. So how valid are they really? Are they kind of going away? And then can I also check people's social media?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let me jump
Thanks.
in. Sure.
Well, thanks for calling in, Glenn. We appreciate you calling in with the question.
Glenn from Citrus Heights, your reputation precedes.
Yes. Yeah.
So let me jump in on the first thing that you had a question about, the sort of this Yelpization of reference checking. I see it, and what often happens in my business is things happen quicker than the law can catch up to it. So what I mean by that is there can be a whole body of people that are out there saying, I got a bad review, or I got somebody hired. The company can say, we hired this person based on good information that turned out to be bad. And those cases are now getting litigated, and there's a lag time, and it's really too early to say how that's going to look, because what oftentimes happens is it's not so much a hiring or a employment situation, it's more of a defamation issue. Someone can come along and say, somebody slandered me and that's why I didn't get the job, or I was defamed in writing and after the fact and I didn't get a promotion or something. So it remains to be seen. I would just tell any employer, it sounds like, Glenn, that you're an employer, be very, very uniform and very sort of vanilla in the way you do these things. You might even mention to somebody that you're interviewing, I read anything I can get my hands on, whether it be good or bad, but ultimately I have to make a decision as to who is the best fit for my company. That way you're not placing emphasis on one area, be it negative or positive. And
I would add, get a hiring professional involved.
Yes.
Shameless plug, because I'm a hiring professional.
Yeah.
But this is one of the things that we do is reference checks, and there's an art to that as far as how we ask the questions to sort of peel apart the layers. I don't use a standard template. I interview my reference check to the specific, maybe I have a candidate that I'm worried is inflexible. So I'm going to start peeling back the layers and asking those questions.
That's an important aspect there, Katie, like you're saying, is that you have an experience doing this, so you know a way to do it, and it's different for each position, each firm, whereas someone who maybe is an hiring person might just think, I got to call these references and I'll ask 3 questions.
And you go through the motions and you hang up and you get nothing out of it. I mean, not only is a reference check a potential connection, a potential candidate, a potential sales call, but you can get a lot of valuable information out of the reference check. Another strategy is I ask for a couple of references, and sometimes I don't call them if I think it's the person that we want to hire, but I want to see who they're giving me.
Yeah.
Are they giving me a prior employer? Are they giving me a subordinate? These are people that they have positive relationships with. Or are they giving me their neighbor and their old college classmate that's a buddy that they golf together? Who are they giving me? And that's a testament to the kind of relationships they have.
Yeah.
And then how about checking social media?
Checking social media.
Absolutely.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, that has now been a thing in the employment world for probably, since probably 2010, 2011. Anybody that comes to me as an employee who believes they've been discriminated against, harassed, wrongfully terminated, one of the first things I always ask them is, are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram? What are those things saying about you? Because that's the story of your life. Yeah.
Now, if I punch in a candidate into Facebook, and they've got a handle of Jack in their mouth on their profile picture, and we say, this just doesn't fit the image of what we're looking for our company, and we pass on moving forward because of that. And is that discriminatory?
Absolutely. That's a two-parter, and yes, you can and you should.
I mean, if it was a bottle of really good wine, it would be a different story. But if it's Sailor Jerry, then we got another thing to talk about.
Right. If you get into something that is, it's funny. I realized what you said there. That was good. It was like a grenade. It didn't go off right away. So the first part of what you just said, I think is spot on, because when you cut something off early as an employer, you're much more on firm ground than you would be if you get into something with somebody that they've been brought on board, they're set up in a nice job with nice benefits and a future, and you say, oh, by the way, We had somebody in our back office look at your Twitter feed or your Facebook page, and holy moly, look at the stuff you put. You're not a good fit for us. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Then you can start looking like you're discriminating against somebody based on something other than how they would fit in your company. There's no such thing as a case in my world where someone says, I want to sue my employer because he said I didn't fit. I can't do anything with that. A good employment
Right.
litigator can't do anything with that.
So the
There's
bottom line is, if they find that, do not say why.
do it early. Do it
I mean,
early,
but don't
yeah.
tell the candidate, we're not going to hire you because we saw this or because we read.
Yeah.
Should you
This.
not say that to the candidate? Or is it
I
okay
think
to say that?
I think you should choose your words carefully and say something like, one of the things we've started doing in this media age, social media age, is we look at these things because you're an ambassador of our company, whether you
Right.
like it or not. And we
Because
can't-
what I find is candidates get very upset when we just say it's not a fit, and they say, well,
Right.
I want to know why.
Right.
What happened? And I say, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating for them.
Sure. And that's dicey. And again, getting back to your question, is there, you two are partner level in your business, and it's CPAs and lawyers have a lot in common in terms of what they do. They offer their time and advice. But I would say that there's nothing you can do as an employer, nothing, no magic blanket to avoid having problems along the type that you were discussing, Kate. There just isn't. But there are certain safeguards that you can try to use at the beginning.
Well, Douglas, thank you for being on the show. It's been
Oh, it's been a
great.
blast.
We're wrapping up
We
hiring
could
recruiting
talk
month.
for
Oh, yeah.
another hour about all of these things.
And a good segue into next week when we have entrepreneurs.
And I'd love to come back and tell war stories if you let me.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Thanks
Okay.
so much for listening. Beyond the Numbers, 105.5. See
We'll
you
talk
next week.
Excellent. Oh, that's fun.
Dang, that
Well, the 1 minute warning was, yeah. Oh, have you guys ever been on live TV?
Rick
too?
just texted me, where's the Sailor Jerry?
I have.
I've,
This is
I
really-
did American Home Furniture
Oh,
commercials.
of course. But live TV, like I've been a guest on.
I was,
Oh,
I was
I've been
a guest on
interviewed-
Channel
I've been interviewed
3 or
on
10 or
TV,
something one time
Okay.
for a morning show doing Talking Taxes a couple years ago.
Oh,
so.
cool. Yeah. I was back in the Bay Area. I was on Channel 7 with, I was defending the biggest slumlord in Oakland history. This guy, these tenants were like bathing in the bathtub and stuff, and they were drinking out of the toilet, and the guys